And welcome to another episode of the Beat the Shift podcast, live from Mesa, Arizona at First Pitch. Amazing. Thanks for coming, everyone. We've got a great show today. As always, Ruben Guy.
How you doing today? Hope everyone's doing well, enjoying the game so far, and we have great guests today.
Yes, to my left, from ESPN, Tristan Cockroft.
Hello, everyone.
And to my right, author of The Bat, Derek Hardy.
Thanks so much for having me.
And so, as usual, we will jump right into it for our strategy section. Well, we got some projections guys here, so we got to talk projections, of course. You know, last year we noted on the show that projections are getting more accurate. You know, one big reason now is that we have a steady state in baseball, right? We don't have bouncy, happy fun ball. COVID in the short season is far behind us. The sticky stuff, that was a while ago. The lockout. Steals are now, a couple years with the new rules. So we've got a steady state. So the question to you, Derek, since you're a projections guy, does that make it much easier to project? And does that make projections now more important than ever?
Projections have always been important, Ariel. Some would say the most important thing in the entirety of fantasy baseball are projections. But yeah, having kind of a steady state of things certainly helps a little bit, keeps things a little bit more stable. Yeah.
Kristen?
I say just go with the flow. Projections aren't worth anything. Just ignore them totally. They have no value whatsoever. No, just kidding. They're a good starting point to me. They always have been. I think you need to take them as a point to build a base cheat sheet, and then from there let your own opinions drive things.
Yeah. Well, what I've also noticed is that projections are getting better, but so is ADP. I think the market is getting a lot better right now. Ron Chandler has been known to say that, ADP, what is ADP? In the first round, only 1/3 of players taken in the first round actually return first round value. But looking at last year, that number was closer to a half. That means the market is getting a lot better. So you got projections are more accurate, you got ADP more accurate, and ADP is now following projections even more tightly. So yes, I think that projections are definitely more important to really use.
That's what I was going to ask. Is ADP getting better because more people are using projections?
Yes.
Well, projections should be used as a guide to help you figure out who you're going to go after, how do you spend your draft capital, so you don't spend like a drunken sailor at the table there. But they should also be used to confirm your own ideas and your own concepts of each player. Just don't go by what you think. Don't go by what the projections say. It should be a mix of both.
Tristan, what are the best reasons to ignore projections?
Players that don't have much of a baseline with which you build the projection. I think we're going to talk about one of those players in particular watching the postseason. Trey Savage is a good example of that, just based on not having an awful lot of stats at high levels. It's heavy on translations. What he did, a lot of it was during the postseason. One of the questions I'd return to each of you is, to what degree should you consider those postseason numbers in building your projections? We saw a lot of players this year where their best stuff came in October. When I build my sets, I don't count those. And I think that that's something that is changing now. So keep that in mind. Other players who were influenced by injuries, Anthony Volpe of the Yankees. Not happy about this guy or the year he had, but to what degree do we forgive him some of the stats based on the injury he had that dogged him for the final 4 months of the season? Those are situations you need to consider too, because you're taking in a year's worth of stats where it might not have been performing at his true level.
Yeah, do you use postseason in your projections at all?
I do not. It's something that I probably should be doing because the bat accounts for context. It accounts for who the opposition is. So even though the level of competition is higher in the playoffs and it's not an apples-to-apples comparison between postseason and regular season numbers, if you're adjusting for the context anyway, it's all the same. So I should be doing that.
Yeah, Steamer does use postseason projections a little bit different weighting. So ATC will have a little bit of that as, any underlying one that does has it. I'll say that you should ignore projections for playing time. If you have a better idea than what you think the projections say, and you're more in touch with the player, yes, then that's a reason to use it. If there was a big change mid-year, projections don't always pick that up, right? If all of a sudden you had a different batting stance or something, projections won't pick that up as well, and that's a reason. For pitchers, pitch mix change, that's another good reason. Or hidden injury. Let's say a player was playing with a hidden injury all year. That's not going to be accounted for. In fact, it's going to show a low skill level, which will add up to the totals.
Christopher Sanchez example. Perfect one there. Velocity change, adjustment to his pitch mix during spring training. So the stats we were pulling the projections based off of were not representative of who he was this year.
Right.
Also,
I think the caveat to that, though, is to understand what goes into whatever projection system you're using. Some projections, the bat accounts for changes in velocity.
Also-
Doesn't account for changes in pitch mix yet, but hopefully by the start of next season it will be. So that kind of stuff, using traditional stats, it won't capture it. But I think more and more projection systems are trying to account for this type of stuff.
Yes.
So knowing what goes into the projections
Also,
is kind of important.
what about foreign-born players? The projections when a player comes over from any league and anywhere else besides the majors, even the minors, they don't always translate to the majors. It's very hard to know who's going to make it and who's going to not. Like Roki Sasaki, when he came in, everyone's like, "Oh, he's great." He started the season, he was crap. He was not good at all. And then until he figured it out, then he started getting. But that, then if you're looking at projections at the beginning of the year, you could throw it out. And you mentioned about playoffs. If you go by projections for playoffs, every year except for this year, would you have drafted Aaron Judge?
Wow, okay,
Well, the sample from the regular season
That's
more
what
than outweighs it.
I understand that, but you're saying should you
Yeah.
should you consider how great people do and how poorly people do in the playoffs?
Considering I took no shares of Aaron Judge this year, maybe I fell into this trap.
Okay, well
I
it's
think when
possible.
we say, are we projecting guys based on postseason stats? We're not saying to project it solely
Right,
based on
right.
postseason stats. Just should you mix that with
Correct.
the other stats to get a little bit larger sample size? And I think the answer is clearly yes, all things being equal.
Last year in the podcast here, we were talking about Mark Vientos and his fantastic hot postseason. Unfortunately for us Mets, didn't actually translate into great success again because of something called regression. So, you mentioned Trey Savage. What do you think his outlook is for? Steamer just came out, and Steamer has him at 150 innings pitched, 3.85 ERA, 1.28 WHIP, 9 wins, 165 Ks, which is about a 26% K rate, $7 player in a 15-team league. Does that sound about right to you just from the outset? What's your outlook for him? What do you think?
I think that sounds about right. My biggest question with him is, I think the innings, like how deep are they going to allow him to go in games? Is he going to be allowed to go deep enough to get to 150 innings, even if he stays healthy the whole year? In the minors, they were keeping him at 70, 75 pitches. Even in the postseason, he was around there, maybe 80 or 85 a couple of games. But I want to know what they're going to do with his leash. I think that's a big component for a lot of young pitchers, but him in particular, I think.
Yeah, and so Tristan, right now, according to the ADP of the NFBC, they ran 20 drafts that are posted now in the month of September. His ADP is 161. It was before some of the postseason, so it probably actually will go up now. But that's an 11th round, $9 auction equivalent. I think he's probably going to go closer to the 9th and 10th rounds, which is like $11, $12 auction equivalent. I don't know. Are you interested in taking him at that kind of price?
Yeah, at the price we're seeing, yeah, I would. I do think he's going to cost more than that in most leagues.
Yeah.
68th pitcher as well, if we broke it down by that too. I share some of Derek's concerns that it's the volume that I'm most questioning. Also, I think the projections are a little soft in general, or we will see them be that way now, based on not knowing, is he fully in as a 160 inning, 28 start pitcher each and every day for the Blue Jays. I don't know that people are quite ready to declare him that. I am. I think he is going to be in the rotation. I think he's pretty solid. I also think that the past postseason examples aren't representative of what we should do with an individual player. You have to take them on a case by case. But to your point about bad postseasons, of the past 15, 16 players who stood out in their first postseason and hadn't done all that much during the regular season. Out of those 16, only 5 were really considered success stories.
Yeah, I'm going to go on that. Last year, Michael Massey hit well in the postseason. Kyle Manzardo, Jackson Merrill, Jackson Chourio, they all played well, but so did Josh Young. Evan Carter, Corbin Carroll, they all and Edward Julian, they all performed well in the playoffs, but then they weren't so great to be either beginning of the season, whatever it may be. And when you're talking about innings, overall, Trey Savage did pitch 125 innings this year. If you include the minors, if you include the majors, and include the playoffs, he did pitch 125 innings. So to go 160 innings is not crazy to think about. Last year, this past year, Sonny Gray was drafted in round 8, and he was supposed to get 163 innings. Brandon Pfaadt went round 12. He was projected to get 154 innings. Jose Berrios went round 16, 185 innings, and so on. So do you think he's at that level?
I think the innings are from what you're telling me, sounds reasonable.
On the projection itself, the numbers you threw from Steamer, the ERA seemed a little bit high to me. The WHIP seemed kind of on point. I think he's got more K potential.
Yeah.
I think he's a little more K potential.
Yes.
And we're not talking by leaps and bounds here, but I think there's some growth from that number, and that's what we're going to see with his NFBC draft status. He'll
Right.
probably go up about 2 or 3 rounds.
His
from
K
here.
per 9 was never below 10 in any level he pitched at. So
Right. All right, Mr. Yankee fan, how about another one? How about Cam Schlittler? Is he just a postseason fad? We got some Yankee fans here, I see. Is he going to be reliable in 2026? What do you see from him? According to Steamer, he's actually, I'm sorry, I haven't looked up him, but last year he threw a sub-3 ERA, 28% strikeout rate, and I think I have his numbers here from Steamer. He's projected for 148 innings, an ERA of 4.06. How does that sound?
It seems a little high other than the ballpark factor. He was a little fly ball oriented, and in Yankee Stadium, that could be the ERA. Garrett Cole had this problem initially with the Yankees where he had the gopheritis. Schlittler, as he adapts to the major leagues, could be that. The thing that concerns me most about him is the control and the fact that he is throwing a heck of a lot harder now than he did 2 years ago. That's helped him. That's why he broke through, was the fact that he leaned on that four-seam fastball. He was throwing it almost 100 miles per hour in that Red Sox game that everyone saw here. But 95-mile-per-hour fastball in 24, 96.6 in 2025, 98 last year. And he threw 120 and 2/3 innings in 2024 and 149 and 2/3 and 164 counting the postseason. I worry a little bit about injury, and I worry a little bit about the blow-up outings as he adapts this season.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
Prospects suck. Don't ask me about prospects.
yeah,
He's not a prospect anymore.
No, that's true. No,
to me, it's just the control. I think that's what I would think the issue would be.
the control, I think, is going to be.
I have to include that as like a drop when you come on the show, like that line.
5th worst walk rate among qualified starters after his major league debut. 54 qualifiers, 5th worst, over 10%.
So we just had the World Series, and Mr. Shohei Ohtani wins again. Do you guys enjoy the World Series? That was one heck of a Game 7, right? Why in the world was IKF so close to third base? I mean, I just don't understand that. You have a chance to win the World Series. It's 1 out. What do you the third base coach said they were worried he was going to get picked off of third, or Max Muncy was going to get him out. I just don't understand.
After Game 6, I mean, come on.
I mean, I don't know. Anyways, but Shohei Ohtani I want to talk about. Well, we know that 2 years ago, he had 59 stolen bases, and we knew that was going to regress partially because he started pitching again. That went down to 20. What is his outlook for 2026? Well, according to Steamer, 43 homers. By the way, interestingly, the highest projected player for homers this year by Steamer is 43. That's a couple of decimal points ahead of even Judge. Very interesting. 22 stolen bases, 275 average. From the outset, it sounds about right. Any thoughts?
That sounds about right to me. I mean, I think Ohtani is, probably the first or second pick this year.
Depending on the league.
Well,
There
depending.
definitely leagues where he's going to run away with the number 1 pick. But
Right.
yes, he's going to be your top
Yeah.
2. I think it's actually a little modest, as most projection systems like this are at this stage. They usually are a little bit light on the plate appearances, and that's why the homer total is down. He probably is a guy who approaches or should be treated like a near 50 homer player. And I think the steals last year regressed to about where they should have been.
Yeah, no, it sounds about right.
I actually think the Steelers are going to go down even more. I mean, he was on the wrong side of 30. They want to protect him. Last time he got hurt sliding on a stolen base in the playoffs against the Yankees. So they want to keep him healthy as possible. The Dodgers are not built for the regular season. They're built for the playoffs.
I didn't look up the split as to after he started pitching. What his steals rate was.
Yeah. What was interesting to me is he had that one amazing game where he had 3 homers and 6 innings pitched and 10 strikeouts. And I was talking to Tristan, and Was that the best total production of any game in a player's history, maybe from a fantasy sense? I know you've looked into this.
I have looked into this because this is always a fun question. So in that game, Shohei had 25 pitching points if you use an ESPN scoring system and 19 hitting. That's 44 total points. It's the most ever in the playoffs ever, any year, any game. And to put it into perspective, Roy Halladay's playoff no-hitter, 36 points. Ohtani's 6 for 6, 3 homer, 2 stolen base game where he went 50-50 was worth 33. Nick Kurtz's 19 total base game was worth 33. There have been only 7 games that are worth at least 44 points at all, anytime regular season or postseason since 75. And they're mostly the no-hitters, the 20K games by pitchers. It was definitely up there as one of the best. If only we would get points for this in every league.
You can't play both. You can't play
Right,
both.
right.
This
Hitter and pitcher.
is what we got to work on.
He's worth so much more, but you still have to choose one or the other.
Yeah,
As he starts, you can't get his hitting points.
That's correct.
right. That's true.
Who thinks we should get points for both?
Me.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Only if when your hitters pitch, you lose points. Is your client
When your
ever
hitters
win?
pitch, you lose points. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so Enrique
The
Hernandez.
shortstop throws an inning of relief and he gives up 4 runs.
So don't draft Kike Hernandez.
Yeah.
Don't draft
Kike Hernandez.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about Juan Soto and Josh Naylor for that matter. As we know, they went off in stolen bases. Juan Soto led the league, can't believe it, led the league in stolen bases more than Ellie De La Cruz. I could not believe that. He had 7 stolen bases last year for the Yankees, went to 38 on the Mets. He had a $43 value in Roto. That's crazy. Josh Naylor stole 30 bases last year. He turned in a $27 Roto lead. So talk about what are the stolen base expectations? Where will they regress to? Just to throw it out there, Steamer has, well, we said Ohtani at 22. We have got Soto projected for 20 by Steamer and Naylor for 15. Sounds about right. You know what? Let me poll the audience here. Soto next year, 20 stolen bases. Who has the under? Who has the over? All right, so more overs there. All right, we'll ask for explanation in a minute. What about Josh Naylor? 15 next year. Who's got the under? 15. And who's got the over? That's about 50-50. All right, well, you took one side and the other. You took the other. How do you get over on Naylor for that?
Well, Naylor, I think just a matter of first. I think what team he plays on. He went from Cleveland, who
True.
wanted to steal a little bit, but not really. They screwed it up when they got the stolen base guy from Washington the year before. They completely screwed him up. But now he went to Seattle. Seattle likes to run, so he's a free agent now. The question is, where is he going to go? Now, you mentioned Juan Soto. Juan Soto didn't have any major stolen bases until last year, and he gave a lot of credit to the first base coach, Antoine Richardson. If you live in New York, it was a big deal that he left. He left, and he went to Atlanta. I don't know what's going to happen with Soto. So he should still be able to steal because he knows there is value in the stolen bases. So I think he'll have more than 20. Plus, there may be some incentives in his contract. He's a money man. He may want more. So I think he will get the over. I think they'll both get the over.
Right, and Derek, why do you say over on the Soto 20?
Yeah, it's an over with an asterisk, assuming he's healthy. I mean, if you
Yeah,
want to
yes,
count,
yes.
yeah, if you want to count for injury risk, it's probably under. But we've never had a situation like this before, where we have these guys who just objectively do not have speed, like stealing crazy amounts of bases. And I think it's because of the new rules to an extent. I think it's because of advances in technology. And so it's hard to know what they're going to do. But the subjective part of my brain is kind of like, well, they figured something out here. If they could do this without speed once, why can't they just keep doing it as long as they want to? I don't know. I kind of think if they want that to be part of their game, then they're going to keep doing it because they clearly figured something out that other people haven't yet.
Yeah, actually, Frank Stanfield mentioned that in an earlier session that it's about, hey, you want to do it, you go for it. I once spoke with Rajai Davis, and I asked him, what makes a stolen base guy do it, and he said, you make up your mind before the season, you're going to steal bases, and that's what you go and do. And you have a target number that you're going for, and that's what you're going to do. So that is it. And plus, you have team context. If the team as a whole are going for it, then they're going to do it. It's a team construct as well. Interestingly, the question is, how can you identify players that are going to suddenly jump? I mean, if you look at spring training, Soto stole 0 bases last year in spring training. Where does it come from? Any guesses?
So the only thing I'd say on Soto is the same thing with Ohtani. There was a distinct impression I got watching a lot of his games late where I thought he was going for that milestone. Like Ohtani wanted the 40 steals, and then when he thought he could get 50, he wanted to go for 50. He ran everywhere. 23 steals for Juan Soto after August 1st.
Yep.
23 stolen bases. And he, as Derek said, he does not have the speed to steal bases. He's never shown it before in his career. He could get to 20 just because he wants to, but I don't know that I would necessarily invest in him getting there. That's not a lock to me.
Yeah. Let's talk about stolen bases in 2026. You know, in terms of drafts, we had a period where it was always you gotta pay for steals. Do you guys remember you gotta pay for steals? Who remembers that? Oh, you gotta get in the first round. You gotta pay. Yeah, you're old enough to remember that, right? Are we out of that now? Are we out of that where you don't have to? There's places available now. Obviously, the total quantity of stolen bases is not as much as Homer. So yes, you do still have to get it. If you're playing Roto, you do have to still get it. So you have to worry that you have speed on your team, but you don't have to go crazy and pay for it. You use an auction calculator. You do proper valuation. A guy's worth $15, even with the steals. You could get him for 15. You don't have to spend the extra 5 to get him. Do you agree with that in drafts? That we're out of this, you have to overpay for steals?
Yeah, I was never a big believer in it anyway. You know, I think if you're overpaying for something, well, why do you want to overpay for anything? I want to get a discount. Like that's the way you should be approaching these things. And especially if we're just talking about like your home league with your friends. You can punt a category and win, or you can not overpay for steals but wind up with enough to get, 4 or 5 or 6 points in a 12-team league and still win that way. In a NFBC setting where you're looking to beat everybody, you kind of need to crush every category, then that's a little bit different. But in just your regular run-of-the-mill league, you don't have to overpay for anything. I think that's incredibly irresponsible.
And to add to that, Tristan, do we now have to pay for power in drafts?
I wouldn't say it's any more for that either. I think, you just got to find value where value lies in your draft. I think that, especially with the number of homer steal guys that we see nowadays, I would just focus a little bit more on that in my team building, at least in the early rounds or with my top auction dollars. But beyond that, I'm not making any dramatic changes just based on what the league's doing.
And I would draft John Birdie every single year. Why? He'll still, a week, he'll still 5 bases. That's great. I don't need him anymore. Throw him away. But you can get stolen bases on the waiver wire. 100% get stolen bases on the waiver wire. Tell me the last time you were able to pick up a 30 home run guy on the waiver wire. Yeah. In June, July. You can't do that. So that's why you should pay for power up front, because unless you're in a trading league, you're out of luck on the waiver wire.
Jose Caballero this year was available on waivers quite a bit. I snatched him up really early this year, and he was great, especially in NFBC leagues, because, first of all, a little bit deeper, and, just super valuable in terms of he played so many positions. You can have a smaller roster with him. All right, well, before we continue, it's time for the Injury Gurus Trivia of the Week.
Well, the trivia this week, we're going to talk about Aaron Judge. Got a Yankee fan? I got Aaron Judge. And we have prizes. So after I ask the question, if you raise your hand, I'll pick on you. You could try to guess the answer. We do have prizes, so just keep that in mind. No shouting out the answers. You shout out, you lose. This is like school. Aaron Judge led the majors in 5 categories this year: OBP, OPS, slugging, WAR, and batting average. All may have been expected, except maybe the batting average. He led the majors with a .331 batting average. For all qualified hitters in the majors, besides Aaron Judge, there were 6 other hitters that batted over 300. Who were they?
Batted over 300. Qualified. All 6 other than Judge.
Trey Turner batted 304. So yes. So come to me here, actually.
Now come up and get a prize. Come on up. All right.
Oh, nice.
Anybody else have a guess?
Anyone else have a guess?
If you get it wrong, you have to give us a prize. I'm kidding.
Anyone else have a
Anybody else
guess?
have a guess?
The only one I knew.
Wow, no guesses?
Really?
Come on.
Nobody? Yes. Jose Ramirez, the answer is no. He batted 283. Bobby Witt, he did not. He batted 295.
Close.
I'm gonna give a hint. Think Houston Astros, current and past.
All right.
George Springer, he batted
There you
309.
go.
Nice.
Qualified.
All right.
Anyone else? Who said that?
Jeremy Payne
Jeremy
is right.
Pena, come on up. That's good. I got 3 more waiting, including one who was he Rookie of the Year? He played for the A's. Someone forget us?
Yeah.
Jacob Wilson. Yes,
Wilson.
come on
There
up.
you
You
go.
got
The
it.
guy was going to lead in the first place.
Okay, well, I got 2 more.
Anybody else have a guess? Derek, you got a guess?
Did Yandy Diaz get there?
Yandy Diaz.
Here,
300.
Derek, you're getting 1989.
Oh, 1989.
Hey, that's got the Griffey in it.
Yes.
Chris?
Yeah, that was
Bo Bichette, number 2.
Bo Bichette,
Bo Bichette,
311.
nicely done.
There is one more player.
There is.
One more player who batted over 300
And qualified.
and qualified. Really? Yes. Nope. No. No.
I think that's it. No?
No. Yandy Diaz
said
batted
Yandy
300.
Diaz.
Oh, so you got Anderson, you
Yeah,
got
you got
everybody.
Donruss.
The ones who just missed. Nico Horner, 297. You mentioned Witt. Freeman batted 295. Naylor batted 295. Luis Arias, 292. Vladdy Jr., 292. Jose Ramirez, 283. Otani, 292. Those are the big guys. I mentioned this because of Aaron Judge. Are the Yankees wasting Aaron Judge's most best years? And
For those who can't see, Tristan's head just went
and
down.
as a follow-up, are they wasting Aaron Judge years as compared to how the Cardinals did not waste Albert Pujols' years? Because they're very similar.
Just lay it on there, Uwe. Lay it on there.
Being a Met fan, why
I
not?
don't think you can say they're wasting Aaron Judge's years. It's not like they're phoning it in and they're not trying. Like, it hasn't happened, but this is still a really good team that is still making legitimate moves. They just haven't won. Like, that's what's going to happen to most teams.
They've made it to the playoffs in 8 of his 9 years.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
The only thing I will say as a Yankee fan is, yes, there have definitely been times where Brian Cashman has the opportunity to make some trades, bolster a roster to get it a little bit better for the postseason, and he has not done it. So that's where that question comes from.
But then having Brian Cashman come out and say, we're not going to improve the team, we're just running it back out there. How does that make you feel? This is therapy.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
therapy.
Oh, you want me to
Yankees
get the
therapy.
full honesty to come out? Okay.
So somebody posed this question to me, and for a second I thought, oh, this is a good question, and maybe it isn't. But who is the better player, Aaron Judge or Albert Pujols?
Pujols.
Define player. Better player.
I said it very, very broadly right here.
Right. Like,
All right.
See, right.
How about this? For the first 9 years of their career, who had more home runs?
For sure.
Pujols or Judge? First 9 years of their career. Pujols had 2 more, 366 to 364.
But his first season was Judge had that one.
Yes, but Judge is also hurt because you have to think about that also. RBIs, who had more, Pujols or Judge for the first 9 years?
oh, Pujols.
Pujols had 1,100, Judge only had 820. Runs, who had more? Pujols, 1,071, Judge had 863. WAR, who had the higher WAR?
Pujols by a lot.
Pujols,
Yeah,
70.65, Judge had 61.6. By the way, Trout in that same 9-year period, 73.3. How about this though? This is the kicker right here. Who had the most walks plus intentional walks?
Walks plus intentional
Walks
walks?
plus intentional walks for the first 9 years of the career.
Well, they did for Judge. Pujols played peaks in second.
Pujols,
Yeah, are you
Pujols,
doubling intentional walks?
Pujols combined walks 1,009. Aaron Judge 1,638.
Wow.
That's a product of the lineups who they were playing with, and the Yankees don't really put everything around him. While Pujols had actually Hall of Famers like Scott Rowland on the team at the same time.
Yeah, short-term peak, I think that it's close. It might
that's
be
Stanton.
it might be judged by a little bit, but for the career, it's Pujols. And remember, Judge started really late. Pujols started really early. Pujols played for about 20 years, so that really gets you there.
Poole's first 10 years, his average was a 331 batting average, 41 homers, and 123 RBI. I love Aaron Judge, and these 4 years have been some of the best four. They're probably the best of almost any player ever, certainly in our generation.
Here, you want Juan Soto as a Met? Here you go. Juan Soto as a Met. Here you go, right here.
Tristan is
Put
walking
it right
away
there.
from that one.
There you go.
Oh, it touched my phone.
All right, let's get back. I want to talk about catchers right now. So we had a really great season from a guy named Cal Raleigh, an unbelievable season. Will he be the MVP? I don't know. His current ADP is 18, and in fact, in some drafts, he might actually go in the first round. Question, is that a mistake? Where, if it is, where would you draft? What round should you draft Cal Raleigh going into next year?
Well, just with the caveat that I don't have the Bat X ready yet and I haven't looked at any projections, I would say first round seems aggressive.
Super aggressive.
Yeah. Second round I can maybe see, but you have to expect some regression. You have to.
Is he going to play that much as a catcher DH combo? And by the way, that's one of the things that people are not talking about in the MVP race, is that he did play a fair amount of time at DH, and that was an advantage for him.
Well, look at William Contreras last year. Where was William Contreras drafted last year? Did he bring back the value? I don't really think so. Cal Raleigh, his homer to fly ball rate was 25%. He increased his launch angle by 5%. Hit and barrel rate of 19.5%. Only 3 players were better: Judge, Ohtani, and Schwarber. Other catchers right now are going around 4 through 8. I could stomach a catcher 4 through 8, but if you get Cal Raleigh and he doesn't bring back the value in a first or second round, you're losing that value and you're wasting that pick because you can get a catcher who will get you better value in a later round.
Yeah, so I do this from a risk and gain perspective, and I take a look and I see what catchers have done in the first couple of rounds versus the latest. Last year, you mentioned Contreras. Yainer Diaz was pretty bad in terms of a loss. You had Adley Rutschman, who was drafted in the 4th round, major loss. But the catchers who made the money in terms of a draft perspective: Salvador Perez, par value; Will Smith, decent value; Cal Raleigh was drafted then, really great value. It seems that to gain something, right, to gain an advantage, to have a bargain, taking a catcher in the 2nd to 4th round, or even higher as Cal Raleigh might go, not a great opportunity as we've seen in the past. If you want to make money, you want to draft catchers a little bit later. Maybe your first catcher in the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th round. I will say the other thing is, in terms of risk perspective, I call it portfolio risk. If you're drafting Cal Raleigh in the 1st round, and he obviously, if anybody gets injured in the 1st round, it's terrible. But for a catcher, you're going to the replacement level. You're going to the waiver wire. Catchers on the waiver wire absolutely stink. You're not finding anybody to replace his value. Whereas if you lose a 1st rounder who's first baseman, yes, obviously you're losing quite a lot of value, but you're getting a replacement value player. You're getting some modicum of stats with a little bit of upside. Sometimes waiver wire players can turn in $5, $10. You have no chance that is catcher. So just from a portfolio perspective, drafting a catcher early is significantly more risk, right? And we're talking about regression here. I mean, what are the odds that he does better, right? When you draft somebody with what he did last year and you're calling that an average expected value, well, he's got to have a range of outcomes even above what he did. That was a maximum what Raleigh did. Raleigh's not going to do better than he did last year. You're far better off banking on regression. Maybe he should be a 3rd round guy, and if he's going to go, he's not going the 3rd round guy, so I will have 0 Cal Raleigh shares next year.
I mean, you're also talking in NFBC context where it's 2 catchers. So people generally have drafted catchers aggressively. So I understand why he's going where he is.
Sure.
I like the 3rd round number.
Yeah.
Like you're saying 4th to 8th. I don't think 3rd is completely.
No, for him, 3rd round makes sense because he's obviously a cut above.
Well,
some of those.
the Steamer projection has him with 80, what is that? That's actually 92 fewer plate appearances, and he has 37 home runs. That seems kind of modest. I think he can outperform that, and that's probably a third round.
And the next few, but the thing is, the next group of catchers are going in the 4th through 8th round. So there's him,
significantly less
and there's
players.
everyone else. Yes, yeah.
In terms of overall strategy, do we have a strategy for when we take catchers? I know Bathtub Crazy, Toby Gavon used to draft catchers rounds 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, double catcher. I don't know if that's the optimal thing. Do we have any strategy tips for where you should be drafting catchers in a 2-catcher league, let's say?
I like to go the 6 to 8 round because usually you get some value there. You're not spending too much. You usually have your base ready. You have at least 2 hitters. You may have a starter. You may have a closer. So you have a base. You can take a little bit of a risk if you want on a catcher, but I think that's probably the sweet spot because you wait much longer, you're not going to get that great of a catcher at that point. I mean, there are catchers have gotten deeper recently. I mean, we used to have it like there were 10 catchers and then good luck with everything else. Now you can get maybe 14, 15 catchers, which aren't that bad, but do you want to pay 6th to 8th round value for that? That's up to you.
I like playing in 2 different price bins. Get a catcher in the 4th to 8th round, and then get a catcher a little bit lower down, because you want to get the best relative bargain. You don't have to have I need 2 catchers. You don't need anything. You want to find a good value, a good diamond in the rough in one pocket of value, and then another value in another pocket of value. And the best way to do that is to spread around. I think drafting catchers for me are tough in snake drafts, because if you put it this way, if you drafted theoretically Cal Raleigh in the 1st round, and then the next catcher goes in the 3rd round, to be honest, that's a terrific value, right? Because it's relative to where the other catchers are doing. But if you're drafting Cal Raleigh in the 1st and the next catcher goes in the 12th, oh my God, you've wasted all your value. So snake draft's a little bit hard because you're talking about relative value. Auctions are a little bit easier because auctions, we're talking about dollar amounts. You can see, are catchers going $3, all $3 over what they should be? Are they going all $2 under? And then you can say, all right, well, if all catchers are going $3 over, well, $1 over is good. That's a relative bargain. And that doesn't matter whether it's the top of the draft, the bottom of the draft. You can see it better. But it's very tough to me to do it in snake drafts because you're making a gamble. That's why I don't like taking the 1st one, because I don't want to be ambushed where I take a guy and then nobody wants any catchers for a while, then my guy's value plummets.
And that's why you can't target a round. I really don't think you can. I think you've got to evaluate the player pool, pick a couple of guys that you like, and when it's about time to take them, spring. I can't give you a number on those.
Well, would you rather take a closer, be the first one to take a closer, or be the first one to take a catcher?
Closer.
Catchers get run.
Definitely closer.
There's a catcher run.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about injury risk. The following players overcame injury in 2025. Trevor Story, Matthew Boyd, Jacob deGrom suddenly got healthy. Byron Buxton, this was the first year that Byron Buxton earned more roto dollars than days missed.
0 shares right here. I just want to be clear. You're welcome.
Were we all too low on those players, or do you think that these were appropriately priced?
I wasn't too low on them. I think we're all way too overconfident. I say it, I feel like all the time. We're way too overconfident in thinking that we know who is quote unquote injury prone and who isn't. Like, we really don't know. So much of it is just random, that if we're pretending that, okay, this guy's injury prone and this guy isn't, and this guy you can't take because he's too risky, our understanding of that is really very, very marginal at best.
Okay.
Looking at the list.
I know. If you look at the numbers, Story up until this year had 609 at bats in the years 22, 23, and 24 combined. This year he had 612 at bats. Matt Boyd threw 188 innings this year. He had a total of 262 innings from 2020 to 2024. DeGrom threw 172 innings this year. It was the most since he threw 200 innings when he won the Cy Young with the Mets. But from between 20 and 2024, he threw 264 innings and career high in at bats for Buxton, 488.
That's kind of my point, though. Like, if you look at what they had done recently, the recent numbers said, okay, these guys are injury prone, they haven't played a lot. It didn't wind up being predictive. Like, I don't think that stuff is as predictive as a lot of us believe that it is.
So do you think you can get a bargain in that area? Injured players?
I think you can, yeah.
Yeah, certainly you can see what the prices are, and I mean Byron Buxton last year was dirt cheap, if you remember. In the past, Byron Buxton you had to pay $10, $15. Last year he was like $3 to $5.
And 4 times out of 5 you were wrong at Byron Buxton. It's just the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
But I am with Derek on that. That you've got to decide at what point you're comfortable with doing this. The guy I go back to as the example of injuries are random is Evan Longoria. And if only that little beach ball would stop spinning to give me the average, it looked like he averaged in the range of 120 games his first 6 years until he was 26 years old. And we're like, okay, he's a rep, he's injury prone all the time. He came off his most injury prone season in 2012, and he played 4 straight years with 160 games.
We got going into this current year, Jordan Alvarez, his ADP is 34 currently. Spencer Strider, 81. These are guys who did miss time last year, maybe not 100% healthy. Strider, maybe he's making his way back. Do those seem like decent ADPs for you guys? Higher or lower? What do you think? Who's taking Jordan Alvarez above 34? Raise your hand.
Early in 34.
Ooh. And who's taking him below 34? Most people below. Why would you be taking him above 34?
Because he's really, really good.
Not concerned about the injury risk, no?
No, I don't care about injury risk.
When was the last time he swung a bat? He has 2 arthritic knees. Where are they going to play him? It's plain. He has so many. If you're going to take,
Ruvain, I don't like your train of thought here.
I try to be sane about this. I'm the injury guy. I deal with this on a daily basis.
Certain things I think you're right about, like arthritic knees aren't going away.
He has arthritic knees. They're not going anywhere, and he's playing the outfield. When was the last time he swung a bat? And then when he came back, he heard something else. If it's not this, if it's not that, he's a very good player. He just had a lot of bad luck.
Actually, be real careful on him that he could be a DH only in your league. 15 in the outfield. So if you're in Tau Wars, he's an outfield eligible player. He's a DH in a 20-game league. And I do think that is going to that's going to have an influence. There are more DHs this year.
And then
DH only.
And when talking about Strider, his velo was down across the board. It got worse as the season went on. He had a hamstring issue. He never really got his legs under him. I think for Strider, you have to see how he does in spring training.
Is there room for profit at ADP of 80?
For Strider?
Of course,
there is room.
There is.
You're hoping
There
that he
is,
goes
but
back
there's-
to being the guy he was the year before. If he's the same guy he was last year, then you're sunk.
Who's taking that gamble? Who's taking him before 81? Anybody?
What pitcher number is that? Like, let's get an idea of starting pitcher. Probably 20th?
Yeah, something like that. Late number 2 pitcher.
I think that's probably too early for me.
It's too early.
Who's taking him? Who's waiting after that, saying no? Yeah, it looks like everybody in the audience is that way. What about expectations for pitchers who just had big inning jumps? Yamamoto, Wu, Crochet. Crochet finished with over 200 innings. Here's Steamer's projected innings pitched. Yamamoto with 162 for next year. Wu 195. Crochet 193. Do those sound reasonable, Ruvain?
Maybe. Yamamoto pitched a total, including the postseason, of 210 innings this year. So when they mentioned before in one of the lessons, the thing we had, they said only 3 people pitched 200 innings. Yamamoto, if you add postseason, he actually did that. He never did that before in Japan. Never pitched more than 200 innings. He threw 94 innings the year before. So you're jumping from 94 innings to 210 innings. You don't think that's going to have an issue with him? I mean, Strider had that issue. Brian Wu, he went from 149 to 190. And Crochet went from 146 to 205. These guys, the jump, usually you want to jump maybe between 30 and 40 innings, that's reasonable. But anything more than that, you can have the Strider effect where when he made that jump, he was good, great, and then he wasn't because he wasn't playing anymore because he got hurt. Now, it's a matter of each organization. Each organization deals with these pitchers differently. When it comes to Yamamoto, the Dodgers, again, they're built for the postseason, so they're gonna do a 6-man rotation. So Yamamoto, the innings projection is fine. Wu, I'd be a little bit more concerned about, as with Crochet.
Tristan, to add to that, how much emphasis would you place on last year's inning totals when setting your expectations for 2026?
Generally, the thing I use that most for is innings caps for younger players. I'll take numbers, and usually it's in the range of 40 innings or so. Teams typically will try to keep pitchers within that general range, unless they're truly special players or they're in a contending state and they've got to push up to 60, 70. And that's when we raise the red flag like we are here for the following season. Generally, I don't.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I don't really panic over guys like this. By the way, in fairness to Yamamoto, 193 innings twice in Japan. So
But how long ago was that? There was a break. There
He
was a
pitched
break.
190 innings
21,
just in the
22.
playoffs alone this year.
21 and 22. So it's a few years back, but it's not like he hasn't done it before. I'm a little more concerned when a player goes from, in Crochet's case, 140, never having even gone to that level, and then jumping up to 203, and then which I unfortunately remember the 8 1/3 innings he threw in that one wild card game. Yeah, that's a little bit of a jump that's uncomfortable for me. But I mean, are we going to not draft Garrett Crochet?
Well, I'm wondering, like, we talk about this, and I know we all kind of take it for granted as like this is just common knowledge thing, but has there ever really been like a comprehensive study that actually shows that when guys have a jump that's too big that they get hurt more the next year?
Is that the Verducci effect?
Yeah, the Verducci effect's been disproven though, like many times.
But it's been proven also. Spencer Swanbach, he jumped 100 innings from 23 to 24, and in 25 he was out.
It's
I'm
often
not saying on
case
an
by
individual
case.
player basis. I'm saying like the Verducci effect is not like, I don't think it's ever been proven to be real.
And it's also on the miles per hour jump of some pitches. You know, there's
I'd
a
actually
lot
be
of
more
different-
concerned about that.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
the Schlittler point. I'm just
Yeah.
a little concerned about
Yeah.
adding 2 miles per hour. And by the way, Christopher Sanchez, who we mentioned before,
Yep.
was one who was talked about in spring training. And I remember, who remembers who had Christopher Sanchez here? Did anybody roster him?
Weird.
Do you remember what happened about a month in? Anybody remember that?
Yeah, he was on
Oh,
the
the
IL.
elbow thing?
Yes, he
Yeah.
was.
He's done. By the way, I had like 5 shares. I was like, well, my season's done in 5 leagues. So, and he was fine.
Yeah. You never
But I was
know.
worried about it.
Just a couple more injury risk pitchers to talk about. And by the way, we're going to do questions from the audience, so get those in mind. We're going to call you guys up in just a minute or so. But let's throw out Shane McClanahan, Garrett Cole, Justin Steele, Carlos Rodon, maybe even Lucas Giolito. Are you concerned for any of these? Are any of these off of your draft? Are these do not draft pitchers? Any concerns for these? Ruvain, you're the injury guy.
Shane McClanahan, I am a little bit nervous, but they already said he's going to be a full ready for spring training, and he's having a normal offseason, whatever that means. So I guess that's okay. I mean, he had a nerve issue in his triceps, which is not common at all. So that's something just to watch for, watch how his velocity is and everything like that. His current ADP is 225. I think I could stomach Shane McClanahan at 225. That's fine. Garrett Cole, he's not going to be ready for opening day. I mean, his Tommy John was mid-March of this year. For example, DeGrom had it mid-June of 2023. His first game was September of 2024. Strider had it in April 2024. His first start was, well, he had one start, then he went on IL in the beginning of 2025. So you normally think 12 to 14 months for Tommy John. I mean, you're 12 months, you're looking at May, and his ADP right now is 212. I think it's a little bit too early for him. Giolito, I don't know about him. They say he's structurally fine. His ADP is 365 right now, 365.
Yeah, you can take a gamble on that.
That you're going to take a gamble. Justin Steele, he had Tommy John in April of this year. He just started a throwing program this past month. What are you going to get? 15 starts at him. His ADP is 344. I definitely go for that. And Rodon, I am just so nervous about. I mean, I was never a big Rodon fan. I'm sorry again. I'm never a big Rodon fan, but I mean, his ADP right now is 109, and he had surgery on his elbow. I don't know. That's a little too rich for me.
Any other thoughts from anyone here?
Yeah, that the Yankees have some injury questions, that's for sure. I'm
Yeah.
so thrilled. I tend to find I am or in the past have underestimated pitcher injuries and returns from surgery. And my practice has been add a month to what is being assumed as the timetable for recovery. So especially in Tommy John, in that case, I'm making it about 15 months. When I hear Justin Steele, I'm probably not expecting much of anything from him this season. I'm thinking that's maybe an August 1st thing. I actually think in Garrett Cole's case, if he gives me anything before Memorial Day, that's an absolute miracle, and thank you very much. The profit point is I assume he's back, let's say, June 15th, and project from there.
Obviously, it also depends on the league rules. If you've got an IL, then on your roster, sure, you can take these chances. NFBC, you may want to push them even lower because they're going to eat up a spot on your lineup, on your bench for quite a while. All right, time for some audience questions. Does anybody here have a question? Come on up. Raise your hand. Come on up. We get some great questions over the years from anyone. Don't be shy. All right, we got a question right here. You got a mic? Or all right, here. We'll just take a mic here. Yeah, no, right here. You're good. All right. Say your name and
Hi,
question.
my name is Andy Bell, and you talked about steals a little bit. I kind of want to talk about the guys that I thought were going to steal bases, like Tommy Edman, for instance, was a big one for me. To a lesser extent, Xavier Edwards, some of these guys that I was counting on later in the drafts to fill my stolen base categories that, in Tommy Edman's case, he just kind of completely fell off the map. Xavier Edwards and, Ellie De La Cruz, another one. These aren't guys I know not to pencil in 60 steals for them, but I was thinking I'd get at least 40 from them, and they kind of just underwhelmed me. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts about how to approach the stolen base decliners.
Yeah, I mean, Edwards was a guy that I said that could possibly win the stolen base title. He didn't go to bust. He had 27 stolen bases. He played on a poor team, so obviously you were hoping for, 40? But you still at least got 27 out of him.
He had an injury too.
Yeah, he was.
And he had an injury,
But
so...
he played through it too. He wasn't put on the aisle. He played through it.
Yeah, I'm not that concerned about him. I think that I'm good with that. Edman, I really didn't have going into the season as a base stealer. Maybe a handful here. Anybody else have an issue suggestion on Edman?
I mean, he was injured. I mean, he only played a total of 96 games this year, so I don't know how much you can get out of him. He had 3 stolen. He didn't steal the second half of the season. This is again Dodger mentality. Get ready, be healthy for the postseason. They don't care about our fantasy teams. They care about winning a World Series.
I think it's a case-by-case basis, though, on this. Because you mentioned Edwards. Well, I got a reason why he didn't. Next year, this could actually be a source of more stolen bases, right? The Marlins are going to suddenly be great. I don't know. So they're probably going to run, and if he's healthy, then, I'm going to expect probably over 30 again, right? And projections are going to have him about right, I think.
Yeah, I know Edman did change teams, and he did run a lot more on St. Louis, so I think that might be a team context thing.
Right.
So I didn't really notice that when I was drafting last season, but
Dave Roberts was the 5th least likely to attempt to steal a second base last year of any man.
and also I know Ellie got a new manager, and Francona
And he's
is
a
it
below
Francona?
average.
When you have Shohei Ohtani who can hit homers, and Max Muncy who can hit homers, and Freeman and Betts, and why run into an out, right? I mean, Edman does not have an 85% stolen base rate, so for the Dodgers on a whole, you would probably expect less stolen bases, I would think.
Well, there's a solution. We just let him go 50-50. Edmonds could go 50-50, and then they let him.
Oh,
Yes.
in the beginning of the year when he hit all those homers in Japan and came back and started, he had 10 homers before the end of April. I thought Tommy Edmonds for sure 2020.
But Tommy Edman also batted in the bottom of the order for the Dodgers. When you bat in the bottom of the order, you get on base. You don't run. You want Ohtani to bat with people on base. So it's a matter of also where you're batting in the lineup.
So a case-by-base cases, I think.
Thank you so much, guys.
Sure. Thank you for the question. All right. Anyone else? Please come on up.
While we wait the next one, you want the top 5 managers in steals last year? Kevin Cash, Dave Martinez, not there now. Craig Counsell, Pat Murphy, and Miguel Cairo. And Dan Wilson was 6th. So to the Josh Naylor point.
Right. Managerial.
Lean on the managers a lot. That has quite a bit to do with the steals trends.
Anyone else have a question for us? Don't be shy. We don't bite. Well, I don't.
Nobody's going to ask how great Aaron Judge is.
Not anymore.
Okay, no? All right, well, anyways, let's end this with what we usually do, which is talk about the first round ADP and see what we like so far with how everything's being drafted. Right now, the first round looks like this. Ohtani, Judge, Witt, Soto, Jose Ramirez, Ellie De La Cruz, Carroll, Tariq Skubal. By the way, Tariq Skubal, I heard, was at the Solar Sox Stadium at Sloan Park right here. I don't know if anybody saw him, but he was there apparently. Ronald Acuna, Julio Rodriguez, Paul Skeens, Crochet, Nick Hertz, Junior Caminero, Francisco Lindor, and then the next round to start would be Gunnar Henderson, Tatis, Cal Raleigh, Kyle Tucker. So the questions are, let's start with, who is somebody drafted in this round so far, according to the NFBC, that is actually undervalued? Who's actually even more undervalued than the ADP gives him? Let's start here.
I'm gonna say Scooble. People still treat pitchers as, these fragile little babies that you can't draft too high. But I think there's a case to be made that outside of Ohtani and Judge, there's nobody more valuable than Scooble.
Okay.
That's an interesting one.
You can throw Skeens in if you want, that kind of thing also, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess the wins question is what most people have in Skeen's case.
Especially Scooble too, though. Like, if they trade him, he might even go to the Mets or probably not the Yankees.
He's not going to get traded to the Nets, come on.
He's
You
gonna
get
get
the Mets
traded to the Mets.
curse.
You watch. But somewhere where he can get more wins than with the Tigers.
Tristan, anybody who's undervalued here?
I got two guys here. One is I've got to sing the praises of Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte is perennially underrated. Period. Hard stop right there. Second base is not a good position. It hasn't been for quite a while. And when he is healthy, I know he misses a little time. He usually has an IL stint for a couple of weeks. He is excellent outside of that and has been for 3, 4, even 5 years, especially the past two. And going, fourth round, I think, at this point?
He's going actually pick 30, so end of the second round.
Okay, so he's getting a little bit more love this year in the early drafts, but I see him drop in a lot of the leagues I'm in just because of his age. The other one who I think of our top 20 is Jackson Chourio. I'm a Jackson Chourio all-day guy in the traditional roto sense.
Right.
The only real question I have about him is that he did show some of the little minor nagging injuries I don't like to see from a running player. That's one thing I want to keep an eye on as we go into spring training. I'd like to see a very fully healthy spring training, playing a fair amount of time, but not too much. But I think he's the type of player who could potentially explode to 25 numbers without too much trouble next year.
Move it.
I'm going to go with Corbin Carroll. He went 30-30 with a 259 average, but first half of the year, he had 21 home runs, 11 stolen bases, batted .245. Second half of the season, though, 10 homers, 21 stolen bases, .277, more like the 2023 version. And if you want to pay for stolen bases, that's the guy you can get because he has the possibility of being a top 3 or 4 player based just on the stolen bases.
What about Ronald Acuna? I mean, couldn't the case be made that he's going to steal more this year, especially if you're saying the first base coach that made Juan Soto is now on the Braves? What if Acuna starts stealing bases again? Then he's in the
Well, he's
conversation.
stolen bases.
Well, he's
before.
still, no, the guy
Well, I
you
know
look, the
that,
guy you
but
look
I'm-
for maybe is like Ozzie Albies. He may be a guy who steals more base if he gets on base. That's the guy you would look for.
But Acuna, I think Steamer has him projected for 20 steals or something like that. What if he goes and he steals 50 again?
It's
I mean,
possible.
he's being drafted what?
Acuna's going to be a
like
really fun
Nine.
case at the end of his career when
Ninth,
we're looking at Hall of
he
Fame
could be-
credentials.
Yep.
He's been so up and down. A 73 steal season 3 years ago at this point. Yeah, there is an awful lot of upside in him. I don't know what is he, 8th?
Ninth.
9th. I honestly don't know what to make of him. Of any player in the first round, I have
Interesting.
no idea how to treat him. I could call him the number 3 player without a doubt, or I want no part of him.
Interesting. If I'm talking about players in the first round that I think are overvalued, I actually think it's Ronald Acuna. See, the way that I think about the first round is I'm not looking for the best player. I don't need somebody who's, oh my God, the best. Obviously, if you get, Ohtani, especially with different formats, yes. But I want somebody that has got a very high percentage chance of finishing with a heck of a lot of stats. I'm looking for a high floor. To me, a guy like Bobby Witt Jr. is undervalued because he's young, he's going to get that stolen base, he's going to hit power, he's got a very high average, he's going to score runs. He had over 700 plate appearances this year, and that's going to continue. He bats leadoff. So I think he's undervalued. I think what's overvalued is Ronald Acuna. He's often hurt. Will he steal? Will he not steal? I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. I would not draft him 9 right now. Anybody else who is somebody in the first round that is overvalued and probably shouldn't be drafted in the first round? Anybody else?
Nick Kurtz.
That's
Nick
exactly
Kurtz is
what's
the
going on.
obvious one to me.
I have
Is he?
beginning Beginning second round, Garrett
think so.
Crochet. I'm sort of against Garrett Crochet coming this year. Besides mentioning the innings increase, his velocity was down a tick from last year. His ERA was higher by almost a run in the second half. The first 129 innings he pitched this year, 10 home runs. Second half, 79 innings, he gave up 14 home runs, and his BABIP was luckier in the second half than the first. So all this put together and the innings, I don't think I'm going to draft much of Garrett Crochet.
Anybody else? Nick Kurtz. You said.
Why? Yeah, like it's a fair question. Why do we all not trust Nick Kurtz? It's because he hasn't done it over a full year. He was great last season.
Yep.
But what every team does when they see a player like this, they sit down and they examine the nitty-gritty and how do you get this type of player out. He had a 30% home run to fly ball rate.
Yeah.
I know he's in that ridiculous ballpark.
And they're going to be there next year also.
Yes,
so,
and
yeah.
that's the other one I thought about was Junior Caminero, because he's not going to be in that ballpark this year. He's going back to Tropicana, so he'd be my next likely guy to go to. But in Kurtz's case, that homer rate was so absurd.
Right.
That's going to be tough to repeat.
Yeah,
And
no,
he's a
definitely.
first baseman. Like, you can get production like that elsewhere. Vladimir Guerrero, I think, is a much better value at his price than Kurtz.
Oh, so my next question was, who's somebody who's not in like the first two rounds that maybe should be? To me, it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Easily, Vlad.
Easily, because it's a floor of production. You're getting that batting average. You're getting that power. I can count on him. To me, Vlad is missing from the first couple of rounds.
I don't even think it's necessarily a floor thing. I think it's just a pure value thing. I think people, they think, oh, we talked about it earlier, like, oh, you have to pay for steals, or now you have to pay for power. Like, Vlad doesn't excel anywhere, really. But he does enough of everything to where you put it all together, and his value is probably like the 6th or 7th pick.
Well, when you say that he does enough of everything, that's what the ATC term is of dimension. And we've seen that players with high dimension that have multiple paths to value have more chance of finishing with more stats. If they have a bad homer year, well, they'll make it up with power. I mean, with average, I should say. If they have a bad steals year, well, that's because they've had more power, and vice versa. So the many paths to value is definitely a good thing. Anybody else?
Yes. I'm going to make you happy. Jazz Chisholm. Okay. Jazz Chisholm, he went 30-30 this year, so did Corbin Carroll, but Jazz did it in 100 less plate appearances. Just think about that. He batted .242, that was the lowest of his career, but the fact that he did that and the Yankees let him run, if he stays healthy, you can get 35-35, dare I say 40-40. Remember, 100 less at-bats than Corbin Carroll, but had the same 30-30.
Did I hear a 40-40 there?
The possibility that if he stays healthy and
that's the question.
the
Yeah.
Yankees don't move
It's
him
staying healthy.
all over the infield and
I don't think
get
that
in his
affects
head.
him. I don't think moving him around really affects him all that much. He is a great fit in New York. I absolutely love him for that ballpark and in that lineup, but the injury is the question.
That's the whole thing. That's why the 100 plate appearances. That's the difference.
And speaking of injury, it's time now for the injury report. Ruvain, who do you got for this offseason?
Well, I'll start with the Mets. Francisco Lindor, he had minor elbow surgery. He had a debridement, which means they cleaned it out. He played through this during the course of the season and still went 30-30. He should be healthy for opening day. Anthony Volpe will begin the season. Anthony Volpe will begin the season again on the IL. He had surgery for his shoulder. Don't know when he's going to be back. You can talk maybe 4 to 6 months. I don't know. We'll see about that. Pablo Lopez, the most recent MRI he had for his elbow showed no issues with his UCL. So he should be ready to start opening day in 2026. We'll see. You mentioned Yordan Alvarez. He's still progressing very slowly from that left ankle sprain. I mean, I don't remember the last time, like I said, I don't remember the last time he swung a bat. So I see he's a guy I'd be worried about. The hand issue that he had, is that going to affect his power next year? We'll see how that goes. Jose Altuve played through a foot injury throughout almost all of September. He's a guy that you can see to bounce back. Hopefully he will bounce back. And we just heard this recently. Yu Darvish, he's out for this year, so don't think of drafting him. He had UCL surgery. He is turning 41 when he's coming back from UCL surgery. Is he fantasy relevant anymore? I don't think so.
Yeah, he's getting the surgery at that age.
Because he still wants to play.
Wow.
He got the internal brace, didn't he?
Yes, he got the internal brace.
A little bit less than the time. Question here.
Yeah, any comment on the new news about Zach Wheeler
What new news are you talking?
today about the I think it was UCL surgery he had?
On Zach Wheeler? Let me take a quick look.
Yeah.
We have not seen anything
No,
yet.
they did.
No, they're talking about thoracic outlet surgery. Okay, the thoracic outlet surgery, I haven't seen many players come back from that really well. I mean, Matt Harvey had it. He was a shell of himself after that. It's very hard to come back from that to surgery where they actually alleviate the pressure. It's very tough to come back from that. And he's 35. Put that all together, I think the years when he's top 5 Cy Young are in the, wind in the back.
Yeah.
When's give me your projected starts for him.
Projected starts.
It's been a big question. I've asked a couple of people. I mean, I know a lot of Phillies fans.
The Phillies also are sort of built for the postseason, so they're not going to push him to come back so quick. I think if you're lucky to see him around Memorial Day.
what I was thinking.
Steamer
lucky
has
to
him
see
at
him around Memorial Day.
164 innings. That's not happening.
No,
I had him
no.
at 22, 24, with that being slightly up,
22 starts.
I can say between 18 and 22 starts.
which might be more fair.
Starts meaning more than 5 innings. First couple of times they may just go 3 innings, which his value is.
I'll take the
And it's
the
a
under.
risky. That's a surgery that has a checkered track record of recovery.
Yes, very much
Yeah,
so.
Matt Harvey had that.
Yes, and he did not.
Apparently he had the better of the two kinds of that surgery. So there's a
There's no such thing as a better thoracic outlet surgery.
One deals with the vein and the other deals with the nerve, and he had the one with the vein, which apparently has slightly better.
Yeah, but he also had the blood clot issue. So it's that's why they did.
They solved the blood clot.
Because it's everything just piling on. That's all.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to First Pitch and seeing Beat the Shift live. I want to thank our guest for today, Derek Carty and Tristan Cockroft. And as usual, of course, Ruben Guy. And I am Ariel Cohen. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time on the Beat the Shift podcast. Thanks again. Have a lovely evening and a great off season. Thank you guys. Great job. Great job. Thank you. All right, great job. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Sorry for the hold up too.
Thanks for listening.
I know.